Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another BCR seminar. That kind of rhymed. This is week 19, and this week we will be going over and delving into the world that is the UC and the CSU application. Now, have you noticed that my voice is fluctuating? It's because I'm trying to warm up the room with my breath because it's freezing in here. Uh, yeah. So yes, we'll be going over the beginnings of the college application because it is that time, children. It is that time. So we're gonna as always, we're gonna start off with our vision and mission statements. So our vision is to elevate people's growth mindset so we all achieve higher ambitions. And our mission statement is to guide first generation high school students so that they will pursue and obtain a college education. We want you all to continuously be growing your mindset as you embark on these new endeavors of yours all throughout life, while simultaneously also getting a college degree. Because going to college is one thing, but graduating, that's another. So yeah, that could work. So really quickly, as always, our purpose is behind the college ready seminars. So starting off, we want to guide you towards being ready for college. It's always important to make sure that you are college ready and prepared to tackle whatever situations come up, whether it be educationally or administratively. Yeah. As well, we want to help you build your portfolio to prepare for college and scholarship applications. It can be really daunting applying for college and scholarships especially when you are a first generation student. So we want to help you find the groundwork so that way you can always pull out those tricks that we've given you and you can apply to as many scholarships and colleges as you want and make as much money as possible to afford the aforementioned colleges that you are applying to. And finally, we want to increase your awareness of who you are and what direction you want to go to. As we discussed with last week, it's important to start having some of these foundations so that way when you reach a little crossroads, you'll be able to make the best decision for you, right? Right. So yeah. So yes, once again, today we're looking at the UC and CSU application. Woo! Yay. I go to a UC. It's fun. So yes, as well, you should be looking at the assignment that I have prepared for you all, at least for those of you watching. Yeah, we are going to be working on that. As you can see, I finally took a break from the exit tickets and I made my own assignment. So hopefully it works out. But I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. That way we make sure that you know what you're talking about. So very quickly, our session today will be successful if we get to know each other, broaden our perceptions of how to pick a major for college, and learn resources on how you can narrow down your choices for majors. I think that was more or less the same as last week, but this week as well is important now that we are actually applying for those colleges. So yeah. So why should we know about these different colleges? Because we need to get educated. And the more we know, the better we are going to feel about our choices. And new schools, you should be adding new schools or crossing them off based off the info that you are getting as you are going along this process. So yeah. And then once again, last week we gave you the resources in order to actually get your major and to at least start coming up with one. Be sure to check if that university has one or something similar. And of course, why do we attend college fairs and presentations online? Once again, to gain a better understanding of those universities and those institutions from students who are actually there currently instead of just faculty. So here are all the links as well, whenever you need them. So with college applications, it's important to get familiar with what we need for those applications because all of them have different needs. As well, you should be using a specific email for the college application for your college applications. Do not use a school email. Do not use your a Berkeley email because those expire after the summer. You want something that you can actually keep everything for. So use a personal email for that. Or if you want, you can even create a whole new one just specifically for colleges. So create a system to remember usernames and passwords. As you're applying, you're going to start getting portals, which is basically where you get all your updates regarding the schools that you apply to. And sometimes what happens a lot of the times is people don't even realize that they had an acceptance or a rejection from a school. And the whole time it was because they didn't know how to sign in. So be sure to create a system to remember all those usernames and passwords. And start early. The earlier you get it done, the sooner you fill it in, and the better you'll be feeling throughout your senior year, and you can actually just enjoy it instead of stressing out over applying last minute, like applying at the last minute. So be sure to fill in the stuff over the summer as much as if it's possible. And this goes, of course, for more than just the UC and for the CSUs. So on the topic, yes, let's very quickly go over. So pull up the document, as there will be a little bit of a quiz, not a quiz, but yeah, here's the assignment. I know it looks so good. I'm super proud of myself. Thank you. So yes, this is the first page. That looks, actually, no, we'll keep it that way. Yeah. So starting off, so what are the deadlines for the UC and CSU applications? Listen closely. So the deadlines for the UC and CSU applications respectively. So for the UC, it is the 30th of November. It's the same every year. And for the CSUs, you have until the 15th of December. Sometimes some schools might have a later date, but in general, like most of the CSUs have their deadline by the 12th of December. So there you have it. So how much is the application fee for sending your application to one UC or CSU? So yes, you do have to pay to submit these. We'll get into this next question. We'll be able to kind of illuminate a bit on that more, but yeah. So how much do you have to pay to even send these applications in? So for each individual application, you have to pay $70 for both the CSU and the UC. So yeah. Now, while that might be a bit daunting, if you there are fee waivers that you can qualify for. There's a couple different ones. So if you qualify for a fee waiver, how many UC or CSU schools can you apply to for free? Because there is a limit. They aren't just going to let you apply to as many schools as you want. So for each one, for each system, there are only 4. You can only apply for up to 4 schools for free. After that, any of the other ones you have to pay for. So yeah, so if you qualify for a fee waiver, you have to pay, you only get 4 schools you can apply to for free. So yeah. So here's a really hard question. What kind of essays do the CSUs ask you in the application? Ready? None. That's what makes the CSU so great. Yeah, the CSUs don't ask you don't ask for any essays. You might be applying to EOP, but we'll get there when we get there. But in general, if you're just applying to the CSUs regularly, you do not have to fill out a single essay, like at all. And it's great. So it's a very straightforward process, and we're going to go over it today, actually. So yeah, so CSUs mainly look at classes and grades and a little bit of experiences, like just to kind of see if you were involved, but it's nothing it's nothing compared to the UC. You can do the CSU application like in 30 minutes, if at that. Like it's that quick. So yeah. On the contrary, for the UCs, how many personal insight questions do we have to respond to for the UC application? So these are the essays, your college essays for the UCs at the very least, the University of California. So you have to respond to 4 questions. Like that as a requirement. You have to respond to 4 personal insight questions, or PIQs. You can't do 3, you can't do 5. Well, actually you can, there is like an option for additional one, but your requirement is to do 4. And you get to pick the topics, which kind of brings us to the next question. How many questions are there for the PIQs? So in total, you have 8 different topics that you can brush up on for questions that you can answer. So you have 8 choices for questions for the PIQs, ranging from leadership to personal experiences to extra information that you might want to give the school. Next question. What is the A through G and what are they used for? So hopefully you know this by now because you're graduating in about a year. But if you don't, the A through G are the 7 subject requirements that you have to satisfy to be eligible to apply to the UCs and the CSUs. Now, if you're living in California, basically more than likely you have them all fulfilled as long as you pass your classes, but this is more applicable for out-of-state students who maybe don't have the same requirements in high school that California public schools do. Luckily, You live in California, of course you do. But yeah, there are seven. They just for what is the question answering, there are 7 subject requirements they have to satisfy to be eligible to apply. And finally, for UCs, what is the consequence? Oh, what am I saying? What is the comprehensive review and how many parts are there? So the comprehensive review consists of an evaluation that is based on 14 parts. This consists of your essays, your grades, your awards, your activities, all things like that. So we're not going to go over all the 14 parts, but just know that that is what the comprehensive review is. And just a reminder that there are 14 parts of the comprehensive review. So yeah, so let's see. So hopefully some of you already knew all that. And if you didn't, now you know, which brings us to the next portion of today's seminar. I just threw out my back and now my neck is in pain. Ow. So now we're going to briefly go over the CSU, the California State University application. And we're going to have you list the 5 portions of the CSU app, right? Right. So once again, so before we even begin, you should always, when preparing for college applications, you should have an email that is not cluttered with junk. So if you have an email that is just full of junk mail, I would recommend not using that one. Sometimes like some students just make a whole new email specifically for colleges. Like that's fine. I'm not gonna, kill like hold it against you or anything. So you can do that. And make sure that if you're putting in an email, it's one that you routinely check, yeah. So once again, do not use your school email. Do not use the email that they give you like at school, like for Berkeley Unified. And use an email that you're going to be avidly checking. And once again, please make sure to write down all of your info for your usernames and passwords for the applications for colleges, for financial aid, for scholarships. And if you forget, you can always do a password recovery. But once you get locked out, you can end up wasting time trying to get customer service to help you unlock your account, which always isn't a good thing. So please make sure you have everything written down so that you know where to find stuff. All right. Okay, let's get into the meat of today. I hope that clap wasn't too loud on the mic. Oh, okay. So yes, this is the CSU application. What you'll do, like when you get on there, you might be confused. It would be like, there's a section that says apply, you press that, then it'll ask you for which semester. In this case, we're going to be using the seniors account. So for us, it was fall 2022. In y'all's case, it would be fall 2023. Yeah. So this is the CSU application. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad. I think that's actually my local state school in the back. I think that's Stanislaus. So, kind of feel at home. If you're interested in Stanislaus, you can feel free to ask me more about it. But yeah, so we're going to start off with the personal info. There are 7 different portions consisting of release statement, your biographic info, your contact information, citizenship/residency info, race and ethnicity, parent/guardian info, other info, and financial and parental information. So this is pretty straightforward. It's really easy. Basically, you just want to make sure that what you report regarding your citizenship, or at least if your residency, if you weren't born in the US, is accurate. They just want to know like your demographics, your financial situation. It's not even then, it's not as in-depth as the UC, which I would argue that the UC is a bit more intensive in regards to recording your finances. But yeah, so pretty straightforward. You can literally crack this out in 5 minutes. You should have this done before school starts in August. So I'm just saying it's one of the easiest portions of this application, which once again is just easy enough as it is. So yeah, so that's personal info. From there, we have academic history. And as you can see, there are 5 sections. This is the portion that you're probably going to be spending. And if you aren't, you should be spending the most on, because it is the most important part of your CSU application. So as you can see, you have high schools attended, academic info, high school coursework, standardized testing, and A through G matching. So in high schools attended, obviously, like if you've only attended Berkeley, then you only have to report Berkeley High. If you've been to more schools, I don't know. Then you would just put those. And then academic information, this is your literally your grades, like you're transferring your grades over. Yeah, you should have a transcript like given to you by this point. But yes, so make sure you have a copy of your transcript, um, because you will be having to input your classes manually, which is kind of annoying, but honestly, it's not that bad. So make sure you have a copy of your transcript to make sure that your grades are accurate on there. Um, it will automatically look at the classes that are offered at your school if you show if using the look tool. So if you go to high school coursework, yeah, like where is it? Look up. Okay, well, regardless, like it's pretty straightforward. Just got to put in everything. As you can see, this person got English 1A because it already has all the classes that are for your high school. It's just expecting the actual grades themselves. As well, you would be putting, what is it called? Coursework. There's also college coursework, and that's where you would add in the college classes that you've taken. If you've taken any, if you haven't, it's fine. But if you've taken classes at Berkeley City College or San Francisco City College, or I don't know the names of any of the other ones, but those, that's where you would add them, and you would only add those. So that way you can make sure that you transfer over and you get your credits. As what, so yeah. Also, if you repeated a class under high school coursework, make sure to put the class with the higher grade. You know, like if you retook the class and one year you had, I don't know, say a D, and then the next one you had a B, put the B, don't put the D. Yeah. So that's just in general. But yeah. And then A through G matching, what is it? Yeah, this is basically just to make sure that you're on track and that you're able to go. It also calculate your GPA for the school. You do have a different GPA compared to what your high school might be, but that's just because they want to make sure that you have all your requirements in. So yeah, hopefully by now you all have your A through G's filled out. They're really straightforward. So yeah, definitely work. So it's like it'll do it for you. Yeah, it automatically identifies the requirements for you, but some classes you may need to identify yourself. So standardized testing, as you can see, freshman applicants ACT and SAT scores will not be used for any admission purposes, and their applicants are not required to submit these scores. If you took them, you can send them, but honestly, it really doesn't matter. Scores are really arbitrary. Don't let college scores define you. That's my little thing. But yeah, so ACT and SAT scores only be used to place you in your college math or English class. That's really it. Which even then, if, with your AP credits, if you have them, or if your college level like credits, it could determine that as well. So don't worry about it. And then so you have supporting info. What is it? Yeah. So this would be if you're applying to EOP, Education Opportunity Program. It's basically like another separate like application. It's for programs at the CSUs. You don't have to worry about it. Not now, at least. But be sure to include that. As you can see, program materials, this would be like the actual schools where you pick. Yeah, this section is a double check of the program/campuses you selected to apply to. And some schools might require you to submit additional material. For example, like Sonoma's EC studies ask you to upload your unofficial transcripts so they can evaluate your application quicker, which could be a good thing. I know, for example, as well, like Sac State, Sac State and I think Fresno as well, both require you to submit an application if you're applying under the nursing program. So there's that as well. So yeah, once again, it's very straightforward. Like, it's a very straightforward application. There's no reason why anyone shouldn't have this test. But yeah, so we've been over everything. Once again, if you're curious about supporting info, it's basically just about including like your extracurriculars, which even though they're not too in depth, you don't have to list everyone. They just want to make sure that you've participated in one at least. And then your work info if you've also been working. And then they'll also ask you to log your hours for extracurriculars. Just generalize, it'll be fine. So yeah, so the final thing is that there's the submit application error. And as you can see, total fee, oh my God, it's $70. That sucks. Well, luckily, well, here's the thing. If you qualify for a fee waiver, it will show there that it says total fee is like $0. So you don't have to worry about that if it does come out. But if you do have to pay for it, it'll show how much in total you'll have to pay. So yeah, it's going to show you the app status. It's going to show your application status for all the programs and / campuses that you apply to, and you do have to submit each one individually. Yeah, basically. So please make sure that your family size and income info is very correct. Scholars in the past have accidentally added an extra 0, for example, in their family's income. So maybe they go from like 24,000, which is really low, to 240,000, which, I mean, that's great, but that's, that's not at all accurate. So that's basically an automatic disqualification. Yeah, we don't want that, right? No. So yeah, so once again, you can use a waiver for up to 4 campuses, make sure that your financial info is correct. And if you need that financial support, be sure to ask your school counselors or your YSP staff as well for any resources that can help you cover them. And if circumstances have changed in your family, you can try to appeal to each campus to waive your app for free. So yeah, so before you submit that, please make sure to have a talk with both your school and your school counselor and the YSP staff to review your application before submitting. Submitting your application the day it opens will not increase your chances. So, I mean, good on you for trying to get it done. Don't force yourself too much to actually submit it on the day it opens, because when Y scholars have done their own thing, they then realize that they forgot to add something, and then they end up spending way more time trying to contact the school to make those changes to your application. So just take your time. Once again, it's a fairly straightforward application, but take your time, be patient with yourself, you will get it done. And if you need the help, I'll always be here. So yeah, so as you can see, the CSE is just plugging in info. That's all it is. Shouldn't take much time, so get it done as early as you can. And get feedback from counselors and YSP staff and get it out of the way. So yeah, so that was the CSU application. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. But from there, we're going to move on to the UCs. Woo! Yeah. Also, just for reference, the 5 sections I'm talking about are academic history, personal info, supporting information, program materials, and the submit application. And then check statics will actually show you the status of your application and whether or not it's been submitted. But yeah, so those are the 5 sections of the Cal State application. Moving on to the UCs. Yeah, the UCs are just a bit more intensive, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're learning. Yeah. So once again, you might be able to qualify for a fee waiver for the UCs. It really just depends. But yeah, we're gonna start off talking about you. What am I looking at? I'm sorry, I'm like out of it right now. Yeah. So about you, this is pretty straightforward. Oh my God. There we go. Probably should check that. Yeah. So as you can see, first name, last name, where were you born? When were you born and where were you born? Pretty simple. Contact info, that'd be your like your emails and stuff like that. Residency, demographics, background. I guess YSP senior 22 only speaks also speaks Armenian. That's pretty cool. your household info, and then your parent information. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, and make sure that you know your family income and size. This is in general just important to know. So that as soon as you put that down, they'll eventually check your fee waiver status. So you'll know as soon as you finish up the application whether or not you have to pay. Moving on from there, we have campuses and majors. So UC values, it's just like a little like, I do agree with the things that I'm asked to like comply with. It's just to make sure that, you're, a good person. But yeah, so here is where you would end up picking your majors and your campuses and your level. Of course, we'd be applying as freshmen. Also, as you can see, it's also telling me that I do qualify for a fee waiver because it says estimated cost is $0, which is good. So yeah, so of course you can't really select your you can't select your major yet, because this is for the class of 2022 and y'all are the class of 2023. But once there, you'll have a bunch of different major specific like the school offers that you can use to pick as such. So yeah, so that's campuses and majors, pretty straightforward. Once again, academic history. Once again, I just spaced out. I'm so sorry, y'all. Academic history. So this is the introduction. Yeah, basically just all your grades. What you've taken in college, or no, what classes you've taken in college, what college courses you might have taken in high school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so all this, like, once again, you do have to put it in manually. 7th and 8th grade, that one is insanely simple. Other than that, they also want you to report the high schools that you've attended, your grades, for every class. When you are a senior, they'll have you list out the classes you're taking so far. You would just put in progress instead of actually listing the classes that you are currently in. So yeah, so once again, and this one, like, it does take a bit of time to put in your grades. Just be patient and you will get it done. So yeah, followed by test scores. Once again, the same thing as last time. ACT and SAT are not a requirement. So you can basically just gloss over that. SAT subject test, you're taking these, I guess you can report them. This is also be where you'd report your AP and IB scores. If this is more so for international, or if you are not fluent in English, just to make sure that you speak English well, to be able to attend these schools. International exams, once again, that's more so for international students. So test scores are, once again, pretty straightforward. This is the part that is just a bit more intensive. This is where we start. So this are the activities and rewards. So unlike the CSUs, the University of California's do look at your activities and awards with some weight due to the 14-point comprehensive review. So be sure to ask, for each of you, you should definitely point out what stands out in your paragraph and things that you want to emphasize in your paragraph when you're describing these things in your for the activities. You want to make sure that you're looking for quality, not quantity. You can take as many extracurriculars as you want, but if you haven't gained anything from them, what's the point? So yeah, so think about the quality. What have you learned? What have you gained? Make sure to focus on the ones as well that are really important to you, kind of what I've been saying. Commitment, responsibility, leadership, and most of all, genuine interest. And oh my God, that's pretty much like CLASP. It's almost like we've been preparing you for that for the past 4 years. Well, theoretically 4 years, but yeah. So yeah, focus on those qualities, be able to start recognizing those things, and you will be fine. Scholarships and programs. So basically, the schools might offer you specific scholarships based on their criteria. Maybe if you're interested in certain themes of study, maybe you have family that are alumni, sports, literally any and everything. So they'll have them all listed out there. And if it corresponds to you, it corresponds to you. If not, you move on. Yeah, so like I said, some campuses do have specific scholarships you can apply for. With Berkeley, you have the Berkeley Undergrad Scholarship, the Fiat Lux Scholarship, the Middle Class Scholarship, and of course, Regents and Chancellor. If you believe you will need money to help pay for your college, you can start researching those scholarships for the school. Um, you just have to look on the website. So yeah. And finally, the mother load of this whole thing, your PIQs. So yeah, you want to make sure that you what is it? What am I thinking? So you are going to have 8 different questions. Once again, you only answer 4, and they're going to be between 250 and 250 to 350 words max. So we go here. Here are all of the prompts so far. I think one of them changed last year or this year. I'm not entirely sure. But I think that there was some type of change to them. But yeah, so these are the 4 questions. Once again, 250 to 350 words max. That's about 2/3 of a page, single space. And we're going to start working on those questions in about 2 weeks. We're actually going to have you write out your PIQs. Because the thing is that the difficulty in these questions lie in talking about yourself uniquely in 4 different aspects and in a short amount of space. And that can be really hard when you're not really trained to do so. So that's what we're here to do, is train you to do so. And if you work on this a little bit, every week and follow the Y Scholars program timeline, then this process will not be stressful at all. It really shouldn't be. And you should be very proud and confident about how you talk about yourself. And this will help, especially when you finally get to that point. Or you can be like some Y Scholars and put it off till November, and then they're scrambling for feedback and getting stressed out because they get too much feedback, and then they throw their hands up on November 30th. And we don't want that. So yeah, so just do everything with patience, and we're here to help you. More than anything, that is our goal. So yeah, let me just go back to the main thing. So yeah, and then if you're wondering what additional comments are, this would basically be anything that you didn't mention in your application. Just to clarify, or some things that maybe don't make sense. For example, when I did it, I did one of my essays like in Spanglish, and because of that, some of the accents weren't transferring. So I just wanted to clarify on my application. So yeah, so these are just that would just be anything that you haven't covered in your app, but in total, that is the UC application. So as you can see, once again, the main components are about you, campuses and majors, academic history, test scores, activities and rewards, scholarships and programs, and personal insight. So yeah, so that's it for today. As we've gone over, there is an assignment, so be sure to do it. If you need any help with it, feel free to reach out. I'm really excited to be working with y'all. Get excited. It's finally time to realize your college dreams. And we're here to help prepare you for that every step of the way. All right, that's it for today, y'all. Have a great day, evening, night, I don't know what time, whatever you're watching this, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.